Welcome to Freedom with Florence, where anxiety lets go and confidence steps in. I remember exactly where I was standing when I knew that I had to make changes to my life. It began about 5 years ago. The pandemic had hit us. Life was changing very, very quickly. I was working at a center where I was responsible for 70 people, and a big part of my responsibility was keeping them safe. And so, of course, the rules were changing every single day. Every day we would get new instructions on how to keep people safe. And I was scrambling, trying to stay on top of it all. And I really felt like I couldn't because nobody really knew what was going on and nobody really knew what to help, how to help. And so I felt really just very alone. Now, move back about 20 years, and I had always been a person that really wanted peace and harmony, really wanted to help other people, and really wanted everybody to feel safe and secure in their environment. So I'd spent a lot of years as a counselor doing just that, and then many years as a manager trying to keep everybody within the center safe. And I realized at this time that I had really neglected myself. I had forgotten how to take care of me. I was so focused on everybody else. And isn't that kind of a common thing for those of us who love Jesus and love people and want to help? We kind of forget about ourselves. But I remember we got another rule that we had to follow. And I had another client who came to complain because she didn't want to follow the rule. And I said to her, "Excuse me for a moment, I'll be back." And so I went into my office and closed the door and I just prayed. I said, "Father, I don't think that I can do this anymore. In fact, I don't think I want to live in this state of anxiety and overwhelm anymore." And I realized as I was praying that I had to make a change. And so the first thing I did was I went out and I answered the client's question and took care of whatever was going there. And I ended my day. And then I decided, what is it that I need to do in order for me to be able to take care of myself? And so there was a couple of things I needed to do. One, I needed to make sure that the center was going to be okay. If I was going to take a little bit of time away, then I needed to make sure that they were all okay. So hired people, got people in place, had conversations with my bosses. What was this going to look like? Where was the center going to go? And it took a few months. And during those few months, I talked to my doctor several times saying, I think I'd like to take just a little bit of a break from work so that I can get my diabetic numbers down. You see, that was something that was really affecting me. I'm diabetic, and my numbers were climbing because of all of the anxiety and the overwhelm. And so my doctor said, yes, I will give you a little bit of time away. And he gave me a day. And it was at that time that I realized that I was probably going to need a little bit more time than one day. And so I really just set things into place so that I could back off a bit from work. Things were in a good place, people were taken care of, and I was able to concentrate a bit on myself. And so one of the very first things that I did was I started to walk. Now, ladies, I worked full time and probably more than full time because I had aging parents at the time and I was working full time and also volunteering at the church. And so there was just a lot of things going on. And it wasn't that I minded any of those things, but it didn't leave any time for me. And I wonder if that's kind of your experience. You want to help, you've got aging parents, you're working, or you're taking care of your grandchildren a lot, which is also work, but it might look a little different. And you find that there isn't a great deal of space in your day for you. So I really hadn't exercised in quite some time. I gained 50 pounds in the 5 years prior because of all of the anxiety and the overwhelm and just not feeling supported. And so the first thing that I did in my journey was I asked my doctor for some help. So I reached out for support. That was a really big thing for me. I had a conversation with my boss, just saying, you know what, I think I need to back off a little bit, start working just normal hours, not all overtime. Um, and I realized that if I could start to do a couple of things for myself, that life would just look very different. And so what I noticed was I needed to move my body because that was just going to be good for my diabetes, right? That was just smart. Move my body. And then the other thing I really wanted to do was I just wanted to talk to the Lord about it. Like, what would you like from me? What will I be doing going forward? Will I stay here? What will this look like? What do you want from me, Lord? And ladies, I got these really unexpected, positive, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Just positive, like responses in my body as well as my spirit. Because as I began to walk, I chose to walk outside. It was September at the time when I really focused on my own health, and I chose to walk outside. It was lovely weather. And I was just really reveling in the beauty that the Lord had created for us. And I was able to just talk with him, like, Father, there's all these things going on, and I really need your input because I need to know how I'm going to go forward. And then when I did a little bit of research, I realized that actually when I walk, my blood starts to flow a lot better, and which opens up the capillaries to my brain, and I'm just able to think better. And I don't know what you notice when you walk, but when I walk, I actually find that I can think much more clearly, but also that I can hear God more clearly. So I think there's something in that whole motion piece. So that's what I wanted to tell you today, that I was in a place that was really, really not good for me. Lots and lots of stress, lots of anxiety, lots of overwhelm. Could honestly tell you that I was burnt out. And it wasn't how I wanted to live my life. And I did two things. One, I began to move my body. And I didn't even manage to do it every day initially. I just began to move my body. And the other thing I began to do was create time with the Lord. And I didn't structure it when I first started. I'd just go out and talk with him. Or I'd read a verse, or I'd read a devotional, or something, just something that kind of set aside that meant this is time with the Lord, and the walking, this was time with me. And during that time, as I was praying and asking the Lord, he actually poured a program into me, a program that I now help other women with anxiety to release their anxiety and to step into calm, confident connections with God, with themselves, and with others. If this story resonates with you at all, I have a blog and I also have a program. And so I'm going to put the links to those just below. You'll be able to see it below. And I would love to connect with you and help you in any way that I can. Ladies, this journey has been a bit long for me, I think. It's been 5 solid years of helping people, working with people with anxiety. And now I thought this would be a really good time to start actually sharing it in this kind of a way, talking with you about it, sharing my heart. So I hope that this was helpful for you today. I hope you could see pieces of yourself in my story today. And if you did, then reach out. And if you didn't, but you struggle with anxiety, reach out anyway. I would absolutely love to hear from you.